zucchini. I'll tell you, this zucchini definitely likes the grow room. And I have my tea I'm enjoying. And borage. Borage is a companion plant for the zucchini, and so is cilantro. But I can tell I'm going to need to separate a few of these out, right? Because these things are going to get a little bigger here, especially as happy as they are. Zucchini also likes radishes, so I will be able to companion plant these with the radishes as well. And I'm not going to try to, sorry about that. I hope you guys have been able to hear me. I've been just turned my volume up. I've been talking about the zucchini and how good it's doing. I'm going to separate some out, but obviously not this nice happy big one here. I'll do some of the newer ones that have come up. They're companion planted with borage and cilantro, and they'll also grow really well with radishes. Back here, we're starting to have some carrots and some onions germinate, which is great. We've got our eggplants that we brought in. So far, we don't have any eggplant setting on, and I think it's a combination of the humidity because they've been flowering like crazy. Hey, Ron, good morning. How you doing? Good morning. It's a combination of the humidity in here. I kind of crack my door when I come out here in the morning. It was almost up to 80. And right now it's about 54. You can see it's 82. Soon we'll be venting this room. But I can go ahead and shut this now that I've dropped the humidity down. I don't want to lose all that humidity because there's things in here that love humidity. But the thing that I am doing, did I say that I need to water the eggplant more? I got distracted. I had a text. Sorry about that. But anyway, the other thing I'm doing, let's see if I can get this. There you go. That's better. I'm using a paintbrush on these. I'm just going to keep trying here. I figure at some point I'm going to get this right. We do have sweat bees in here, but oops, well, that one's not going to do anything. Let's make sure we give all that pollen to this bloom, right? Do I have any more? I just fertilized these, so they'll start putting on some more blooms here soon. But it's a combination of the humidity and also getting the water right. Like I wasn't really putting quite enough water on here because this room is really humid, but they do need some water. They're putting on a lot of leaves and they've been blooming profusely. Not that you can see that many, right? Oh, there's one that's falling off back there. Oh, well. But this room is doing really well. I'm thinking I need to start more lettuces because I use a lot of lettuce. And got some over here too. This New Zealand spinach that I brought in from outside actually took off. Or did I bring it in for outside? Oh no, it was on the hydroponics. But these things are doing really good. I'm trying some bush beans. I need to raise my lights. You can see those little white spots. That's from the LED lights. And some radishes here. And I'm going to trying to grow some medicinal herbs in here too, just in case they don't come back outside. You never know. And down here I have some seeds that I just started, some tomatoes, some quinoa, and some amaranth. I'm thinking all those things will do really well here. And I'm specifically growing the Thornton tomatoes. I got those free seeds from Baker Creek Seed Company. If you order seeds from them, they'll actually send you some free seeds. And they did really well. They actually lived through 120 degrees. These are some radishes that we've had going. You can see we're going to have radishes soon, right? And these are my favorite. Hey, Deli, thanks for joining the channel. These are my favorite radishes. These are the French breakfast radishes, and these get to be about this big, right? And they're wonderful. And it's companion planted with some cauliflower back there that's just starting to come up. Down here we have some beets and Swiss chard and more radishes. Love radishes. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying this. I tell you, it makes me very happy. This is my happy space for sure. And another really cool thing about radishes, the greenery on these radishes, there's actually more nutrients in the leaves than there is the radish. So while I'm trying to get all my lettuce going for my salad, since I love salad, I'm actually taking a leaf here, a leaf there, and I'm putting those in my salad, and it tastes like spinach. Down here, we have two types of eggplant that are coming up. We have rotundi eggplant, which is a red eggplant that's like a cross between peppers, tomato, and eggplant. It's really pretty cool. We have some spinach coming up, some onions, sweet onions, and then also we have the regular purple eggplant that everybody's used to coming up. And it's funny, I was going to try, I hope my Hey Ron, if you're still watching, can you tell me how my video quality is? I've had a little bit of trouble with the quality of my videos. Let me know if you can see it, if it's fuzzy. But I've had a little bit of problem with that, and hopefully I've got that resolved. I had an app that I think was not working well with YouTube, and I took it off. Back here, green tea plants. I'm a big consumer of green tea, so I've tried growing those in other settings. Oh, thank you so much for confirming that. I really appreciate it. I've tried growing these in other settings, but they really need humidity. They just will not thrive without humidity. So this room is such a blessing because green tea is my fix. These are tomatoes that we brought in. We're almost done with these. Some of these probably aren't going to be very palatable at this point, but some of the ones you hang get nice and ripe, others don't. These are the Thornton ones, and these are the smaller ones, but these get to be about a medium size. And I was telling you about the Baker Creek seeds, the free seeds, and they actually sent me seeds that were right for where we live, which is great because it gets pretty hot here, especially last summer. All right, back here, this is a great experiment. We have some cucumbers, and these are doing really well. They haven't gotten leggy. I need to watch the light so that they don't get too close and burn anything. I've planted some peas in with them as a companion, and also peas fix nitrogen in the soil. And back there you can see we have some thyme coming up. It'll be interesting to see how that does. I managed to grow a little bit of that outside, but I think it might like humidity. I don't know. We'll see. One thing I would say is the type of dirt you use matters inside, because the dirt I have that was meant to be outdoor dirt has a lot of wood in it, and that stuff sprouted a lot of mushrooms. And what I've done is I just pull them up and throw them in the indoor composter that heats it up, so we're not spreading any spores, right? But over here we have a tomatillo coming up, and we have some cilantro, basil, chives, peas. Let me move my chair over. Actually, it's a step stool. We're taking advantage of our vertical space in here. This room is probably only 50 square feet. And back here we have some honey nut squash, which is a miniature butternut squash. And I grew these outside this summer, and they made the cutest little squashes. We cut them in half and put them in the air fryer, and they were like bite size, almost like something you'd use for an appetizer. So I thought since they didn't get real leggy, I'd try them in this space and see what happens. And some of this stuff, like the tomatillo, I could potentially transplant that outside once it warms up, right? It's a heat type plant. It likes the heat. Over here we have tomatoes, and the sweet potatoes are actually veining up from this container, which is quite interesting. It would be so cool if we got any sweet potatoes to grow. I've tried growing them outside, and they look like they're happy and they're doing good, but they don't really produce anything. Sweet potatoes are actually the root of the plant, if you can believe that, which is fascinating. Over here we have some peppers. And speaking of peppers and tomatillos, I need to start seeds for those for outside garden as well, right? It's that time. Anyway, this is just a little update. Here's our ginger. Added a little more dirt in there for that plant. And I added some more dirt in the sweet potato, and I'm going to add some more, but I'm going to trim those lower leaves. A lot of plants you can actually add, like tomatoes, potatoes. You can add more dirt to the base, but you want to trim the lower leaves off, right? And they'll just keep rooting off of the stems. So that would increase our potential. It's kind of a small container for sweet potatoes, but it's an experiment. I didn't really know what to expect, how it would do. I know that they're more of a tropical plant, right? And this room with the humidity, it kind of accommodates that. And two other experiments we have growing here, I'm trying to root fig cuttings back here and an apricot cutting. And our apricot tree, despite my efforts, I haven't been able to get rid of the borers. And I don't know if it came with it. A friend of mine told me that you have to treat for borers here. And when we first moved here, I wasn't aware of that. So thank goodness I brought her to my yard. And she's like, oh, I think you have borers, because I started treating both the apricot and the apple. In the apple, we were able to get rid of the borers, but that apricot, we just haven't been able to get rid of them. So, and I love apricots. I never had a fresh apricot until we moved here. I only had dried ones. It's kind of like figs, right? I never had a fresh fig until we moved here. We only dried ones. and they're wonderful. So it'd be great if I can either succeed with the graft that I have going on the almond tree. You know, actually, let's move outside. I wanted to show you a couple things outside too. We're not even going to look at these grafts. See that menthol back there? It's really happy in this space. We're not even going to look at the grafts on the almond tree until it warms up, you know. So like maybe the beginning of March, we'll see if anything's happening with those. I mean, it is warmer, but it's not really, for these trees, it's not warm. So back here you can see these foil covered things. I basically took cuttings off the apricot tree. I made slits in the bark. I cut the branches short, right? And I made slits in the bark. I whittled the end down really thin. It is a beautiful day. We're going to walk soon. I whittled the ends down really thin, dipped it in rooting powder, stuck it in the crack of the bark, put this grafting bonsai cement around it, taped it, and then put the foil over it. I saw that technique on YouTube, so I hope you're thrilled if that works. Because this almond tree has a lot of room to get bigger. I mean, it could actually get double this size. So if I give up a few branches to grow some apricots, I don't have a problem with that. And actually, I think the apricot, despite the borer problem, was more prolific than the almond. It takes a long time, though, to get trees, fruit trees and nut trees to fruit. So you have to be patient is what I've learned. All right, I wanted to show you one other cool thing. Oh yeah, my neighbor's gardener was working, and these trees over here, we had some branches on these pine trees that were like halfway across our yard. And that's pretty dangerous because these things are super dry, and you know, you don't, thank you. I'm so glad you like our garden. You don't get a lot of forest fires here, but man, if you ever did, you sure wouldn't want a branch going halfway to your house, right? Pine trees are, I would say, explosive if they get anywhere near fire. So over here we have these cuttings, and I'm trying to cut some of it up because we do have a fire pit over there, and we really enjoy the fire pit. The green tops are going to go in the trash, but the twigs and the wood from it, we're going to actually use that in our fire pit. All right, over here we have a garden that needs some cleanup, right? And there's some mustard greens growing underneath this net, and it's under the net because if you don't cover stuff here, all the critters try to eat stuff, right? So these are some mustard greens that are growing underneath this. I've had a lot of problems with the critters this year. And over here, I've been using the leaves and the cauliflower in our juices and also in stews. But look, you can see it's making a head of cauliflower. And this one is too, I folded it over. I think this one's gonna flower pretty soon. And folding the leaf over, which I have to do to this one too, I'll do that in a little bit, that will help stop it from going to seed. And if it starts to go to seed, we're gonna eat it right away. Let me just tell you that. And we've been eating the broccoli off of the broccoli plants, and now we're just gonna be eating the little shoots, if you can see those, but the leaves are super good. You can put them in stew, you can juice them. Had a couple more cauliflowers going here. And we have some medicinal herbs. This is our mullein. That one stayed green the whole time. It didn't die off or anything. I think we'll get 2 years out of that, so I'm trying to start another one of those. Those are really good for respiratory problems if you're sick. And they're also like a natural antibiotic. And this is horehound, and this actually didn't die off in the cold either, so that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. This was marjoram. I have no idea if that's going to come back. Marjoram is kind of interesting. I haven't totally decided how I like to use marjoram, but I'm kind of wondering if it would repel bugs. It's pretty strong flavored. Lemon balm, looks like that died off, but that should come back. This plant, I've had this for a couple years. You know what? I love having my own veggies because I don't like what is being put on them commercially. And this is our apricot tree that sadly is probably not going to make it. You can see it's covered with buds. It really wants to make a lot of fruit. And we'll see. Last year, it made a lot of fruit, and then with the stress on the tree, a lot of it fell off. Thankfully, we did harvest some, but down here, these are some telltale signs of borers, right? See that sap borer pushing out? That's where you have an active borer infestation. And it made me kind of sad because I can tell that it's moved up in the tree, right? Now, it's not going to be in these little cuttings, so I don't think I put our almond at risk for the little tiny twigs, because borers, these things are kind of fat grubs. They're gross. They're really gross. I found some in the ground. pistachio. We got a few last year. We'll see what happens. The citrus is evergreen, so the kumquat, it stays green. And I'm really surprised this didn't die back. This actually has done quite well. This is a firebell. It's a perennial and it comes back. It's a flower. It's pretty. See right there. The hummingbirds love it. Our fig. Down here, this is going to be year 3 for this grapefruit. It came up underneath our grapefruit. The first year that we had our grapefruit, I didn't realize you can't trim any of the branches while it's fruiting, or it'll drop a fruit for every branch you trim, right? So that came up and I transplanted it there. And this is a fig from my friend Julie. We did some rooting experiments and hers succeeded, so she shared this one with me because I actually want to put another fig over here. They get pretty big and it gives you some shade, and plus I love the figs. So more fig trees are more good, right? And this is a bird of paradise that I think we overwatered it, and I was going to move it to the front yard, but it has a huge root ball. And I think that would not be a good idea because you have a water inlet coming in, and then you also have a sewer line out there. And you don't want to have a big tree root going anywhere because it could potentially damage your water lines, and that could be expensive. So nothing with big roots in the front yard. This is our apple tree. This one also had borers. Oh my goodness, look at this. Wow. This tree's waking up. It was about 80 yesterday. Wow. I'm so glad I started that grafting experiment over here a couple days ago because I got them on just in time. We might be having an early spring. Oh, you thought the lizards were real? Wow, that would actually be scary. You should watch those guys. They're pretty aggressive when they're going for a bug. So our potato experiment, I took the dirt from those buckets and I dumped it here. I'm expanding the garden over on this side because the tomatoes did really good. The Thornton tomatoes did really good over here. They didn't die off. Plus, it's the variety of tomato as well. This is a catnip. Catnip is kind of interesting. I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard of catnip for cats, but it actually helps protect tomatoes from hornworms. Apparently, hornworms are repelled by that. And it grows pretty good here, and it's obviously a perennial. We had 25 degrees one night. Back here is a blackberry cutting. I need to run a bubbler to it. I've been hand watering it. I need to extend the bubblers all over this section here, but first I've been adding dirt in. So normally in the past we would actually dig a trench and dig it up and add dirt into the hole, but last year I just decided to try over here to see how it would work and just added some dirt and raked the rocks back, and I didn't like dig a trench and they worked just fine. So why get a pickaxe out, right? That's a lot of work. Let's see, over here we have some perennial herbs that are not awake yet. Here we have some collard greens that I grew. They didn't really do a whole lot. I probably should just cook them, right? But they did live and nothing got them because I netted it. I know this net material is not very attractive, but you know what? If you're going to grow something, there's no point in growing it if you're not going to be able to keep it from getting eaten, right? This year I'm planning to grow a lot of quinoa out here because it did really well. And the cool thing about it is it grows vertical. The one thing though is, again, you have to protect it from the critters because they will eat it. Almost all of them. I had multiple ones out here and they got eaten. And so I'm going to have these little shelters that they come up in. And I think I'll be able to, yes, you're right, it is really relaxing here in the evening, Ron. We're probably going to, for Valentine's, I think we're going to have a fire outside as long as it's not windy. We really love that fire pit. That was a great gift from one of my husband's sisters. The clary sage, that did not die back either, so that's pretty awesome. I have a lot of cleanup to do out here. It's kind of a mess right now, but that's what happens during the winter. I have to clean these leaves up about 4 times a year, from this tree back over there. But the cool thing about all these trees, even though they dump a lot of debris in our yard, they do give us a little shade that we wouldn't normally have. And we get a lot of really cool birds in our yard, and I love birds, so that's pretty awesome. See that grapefruit, dwarf ruby red grapefruit? That's an evergreen also. And it is actually doing a lot better this winter than it has in the past. It doesn't really have too much yellow on it. And This tree is amazing. We actually got 11 grapefruit off of this, even with all the heat that we had. This is a mandarin. So far, it hasn't done anything, so hopefully it does something. We're not going to give up on it anytime soon. I learned a lesson about giving up on stuff too soon. And you're like, oh man, why did I do that? Why did I take that out? And this is our Meyer lemon. We actually got 20 lemons off of this last year. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but we've really struggled with getting the water right on this tree. And then also, it actually had a mosaic virus. I think it was like the second or third year that we had it, and we almost lost it. And I actually treated it with ivermectin, like once a week, then once a month, then for like a year, right? And it actually came out of it. What I learned about that is some friends of ours in California were like, what are you going to do with that ugly wall space? Because they had plants like totally covering everything, right? Well, here you can't do that because there's so many bugs that the bugs will just jump from the fig to the paddle cactus to the lemon. And that's how we got mosaic virus on that lemon. So give your plants a little bit of space, prune them enough so that they don't touch, at least the trees anyway. But that's just our garden update this morning. I'm going to have a little more tea, and then Meg and I are going to get out for a walk for anybody who wants to join us later. Let's take a look and see if we see anything happening here with this kumquat. You know, we haven't gotten the rain. I got my fertilizer out on everything, borer treatment and whatnot, because I figure, you know, the best time to water something in is when it's going to rain, right? It saves water, but so far we haven't had that rain. Hopefully it happens. Good news is Colorado gets a lot of snow, and I tell you, that's the saving grace for us. That snowpack in the mountains in Colorado goes into our lake, and our lake is actually doing better, so I'm thankful for that. Anyway, I'm going to go back, have a little more tea, and probably about 40 minutes we'll be back out for a walk. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching.